Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, production of iHeartRadio.
And for this month's book club of October, we are coming in with a horror fiction for our spooky time of the month. I feel like all the fall is, yeah, and that of the year, whatever. All the years, all the months, the season. It's just spooky, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is written by Malaysian author Cassandra Khaw, and the title is Nothing But Blackened Teeth, which I know is a very strong Asian folklore. I don't know if it's Japanese alone, because I've definitely seen Korean versions of this, Chinese versions of this, Filipino versions of this. So, like, obviously, but like this is set in Japan. Just an FYI. Have you heard of this legend before? We talked about this legend before.
We did talk about this legend before. It was a long time ago, though.
Yes. We need to come back and revisit some of these legends. And just a quick reminder, yes, this was released in 2021, so spoilers ahead, because we're going to talk everything about it, because this is a very short book. So if you want to take a second, take a couple hours to read, pause here, and come back. So this book was released in 2021, and a lot of professionals praised this book. We got like Stephen King coming in talking about how much he loves it, and so many others. But I will say there seems to be a lot of back and forth when it comes to like peer reviews. And I think it has something to do with it being a novella. What do you think, Anney?
I think it's that. And I think it's also, and we'll talk about this, I really enjoyed it, but the ending is quite abrupt. At least that's how I felt. Like it was like, oh, okay, that's the end. And you know, a lot of people really like a good, here's the ending, it's closed. And this was sort of, hey, it's over, and I guess this is
the end.
Yeah. That's what I'll say. And I would also say that some people, from what I was reading, were just confused, which I understand. But I think I've had a lot of horrors like that, where you're kind of a little, it's meant to be a little confusing or unsettling, or you don't know for sure what's happening or what's reality.
Yeah, I think you're right. And we're gonna give a review at the end of the book. And it is a lot, but it is very short. It is a very short novella. The writer herself is not new to this horror life. She has several books that are horror related, people love. Also was a part of the horror video game genre. Did you know this? Yes. No. She helped with many pretty big ones as well. Helped written. And I think there were like several narrative driven horror that you would enjoy. So she is not new to this.
Yeah.
Y'all, just so you know. But yeah, so this is a novella that puts a lot in a very small book, very few amount of pages. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So we meet the main protagonist, Kat, who, along with several high school friends, come together to see the elopement of Talia and Faze at a haunted Heian-style mansion in Japan. Turns out Philip, a rich friend of the group, put this fancy trip together for Talia, whose dream has been to get married in a haunted place. And I feel like Japan is appropriate because it scares the shit out of me.
Yes. It also made me laugh when I read that, because I was like, yeah, how have I never thought of this idea? Getting married.
Is this your dream? To go get married in a haunted? Okay.
But I just think I can see people wanting to do that.
Well, let's do this. The four have come together through some tumultuous times. They all were involved together, somehow, very incestuous group. Kat dated Faze in a high school, but they never even kissed, so we found out. Philip had relations with both Kat and Talia, and at one point, Kat tried to break Faze and Talia up, and because both of them seemed to be miserable and arguing all the time. Talia really hates Kat for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
like it's a thing, but she really can't stand her. So Kat at one time seemed to have needed some hospitalization due to mental health issues. We're never told exactly what. And though she is now better, she's still struggling with some things, including maybe hallucinations. So as they all explore the home and talk a bit about the past, like how Faze didn't know that Talia and Philip had dated before they got together, or if Philip would say anything about that. That seems to be a very big hush-hush secret type of thing. Talia also makes it known that she didn't want Kat there, but had to because Faze and Philip wanted her there, so she was invited. Also, we learn a bit about this house. The legend goes that a soon-to-be bride fiancé was at the mansion waiting for her future groom to get married, but before they could, he died, leaving her heartbroken and mourning. So she vowed to remain there, waiting for him, being cemented into the walls, again, waiting for his return. And to keep her from being lonely, they sacrificed a young girl to stay with her every year, which seems like a red flag that they should have listened to. That legend, especially because they're like, well, also we don't sign papers because we don't need any paper trail. Those are two big signs.
Yeah, that's a big sign. Yeah, for sure.
Just saying. Later, Lynn joins the party. He is the fifth. He's the funny culinary one, also the one that got married in a very fancy wedding and lives in Manhattan. He is very obvious to the fact that he was only there for Kat, who apparently had a relationship with her as well. Something. As the night continues, Talia suggests a game in which they tell 100 scary stories and blow out a candle every time they do to see if anybody flinches. Apparently a samurai thing, which I don't think is true, but hey, who knows? As the night ends, Kat volunteers to tell the last story of a young woman of the house. And while she's doing so, she sees a young woman throughout the night with blackened teeth who kept saying the same Japanese lines about being on a mountain, being alone, waiting. And as Kat is saying the story, she sees this young ghost woman and says it out loud. And Talia goes to chase after this ghost woman. And there, Faze and Philip and Kat all warn her not to, but she runs, and Faze and Philip follow behind. Lynn warns and forces Kat to stay behind, talking about the different scary movie tropes with the fact that they are most likely to die. Kat raises the point that Faze and Philip have been there for her when Lynn wasn't, and that Lynn even got married without telling Kat, which seemed like a big thing. Again, a lot of things got glossed over very quickly. They're like, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And all the while, they wait, and suddenly Talia pops out of nowhere, like essentially a wall, all of a sudden a door, saying that they had to come and see what she found. And after a lot of back and forth, they go with her to a room where she's donning a veil and wedding clothes. And by the way, Philip was supposed to get them married. I can't tell, is he actually a priest or is he pretending to be a priest? Do you know?
I thought he was pretending to be a priest.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess even if he was actually a priest, it still had an air of him kind of putting on airs. There was something about it that felt a little like you're overselling this
a little bit too much. A little too much. Doth protest too much. But Kat knows something is wrong and tries to leave and tries to get everyone to leave. When Lynn just hits Talia, I thought that was interesting. It was like, not the reaction I thought, but okay. And she is revealed to be the ghost bride who speaks in Japanese. After Faze has a meltdown and they all go to see if they can find a solution, they find a book. Because, you know, in all the movies, they find a book. That Faze reads it. Though the rest of them, they can't see anything. It's blank pages. But yet he sees something about the corners, the four kings, some body parts, some blood, some cum. Okay. After some arguing and back and forth, tensions rise, and Philip is murdered by Faze, disemboweled, essentially. I don't know what kind of knife he had. At this time, they decide to go ahead and complete the instructions with an organ, Philip's organ. Faze has discovered, and Talia appears out of nowhere. And as she does, Philip dies. Like his last breath happens right there. They all leave, and they all tell the same stories to police, to parents, to everyone. They drank too much. The house caught on fire, and Philip wasn't able to get out. Soon after his funeral, and after they all leave, they all drift apart. Talia, unable to get past the trauma, I think she ends up being hospitalized. Kat going back to school for finance, random stuff. And that's the end of the story. Mm-hmm. So what was your review of this book?
I really enjoyed it. It wasn't at all what I expected based on the summary. but I did enjoy it. I like a good creepy haunted house setting.
Right.
That's classic. I liked the kind of the horror, kind of the classic traditional horror with your kind of newer horror, because there was an air of it that at first felt it might be a slasher.
Yeah.
Kind of, because, you have the character that like, they're going to die because they don't believe in this, or they're going to die because, XYZ. So that was fun. And just kind of the playing with the tropes and mixing those two kind of older horror versus newer horror, I thought was really fun. And, like the trope of a friend group who has all of this trauma and actually apparently doesn't really like each other in a lot of ways. Like that was very apparent. The whole bride thing, which I've seen in a lot of horror, was interesting. And the imagery was I thought, very disturbing. So, yeah, I thought it was a good...
Lots of imagery.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. I think it's very short. It is very short. It is very abrupt, which is what happens with most novellas in general. But I think a part of, like, what I did love is it also played on that trope. We're going to talk about tropes in a minute, but like, is this real? Isn't real? Is she seeing things or isn't she seeing things? That narrative, which has been more fun narrative, like it was always there, it was never there type of conversation. Her seeing the bodies stacked as if they're brick or their wood, being the structure of the house was interesting. The Japanese conversations that come in between, the fact that, yes, they do have like a comedy relief, but not. I was very confused about this dude coming from the US with all of the food.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
This wedding situation.
You imported cheeses? Can you do this? I don't understand. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
But then also, like, yes, the obvious disdain between Talia and Kat. I didn't know where that was going. I didn't know if that was a central plot, and it really wasn't. I guess the relationships were like kind of the plot. The house was the sixth main character, obviously. I don't know. I don't think I gave it the time and feel to imagine the house. I needed to do better. Like, it was definitely what I imagined, a traditional Japanese home. But at the same time, I was like, it's a mansion. So I wonder what that means on that level. With all of the artifacts and like figurines that they would talk about. This is one of those that you need a good 2 or 3 listens or read throughs, because you're like, what did I just miss? What did they just say? Like, the adding of cum to the ingredient was odd. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that's a classic trope too, of the, as you said, the finding of the book, and you've got to get these things.
Yeah. You got to get these things. I'm like, that seems like an odd thing for a virgin bride waiting for her. Okay. You know what? You do you. Maybe this is what it was. The sacrifice was Philip this time and not a bride. But he was seen as like a prize in this moment. We don't know what that means. Whether it's like he saw himself as a trophy. The way Kat described him seemed to say that he's the trophy.
Well, he thought he was like the white hero savior type. He was in many traditional horror movies, he would have been the guy that saved the day.
Right.
But instead, by saving the day, he died and his body got...
And then also the question is, did he have a motive? Was it for Talia or was it not? Like, what was this? And did FaZe actually know and just killed him out of rage and not just because?
That's true.
Like, there's a lot of back and forth. So yeah, there are a few themes, of course, like horror. Like, we have the friendship, we have the beginning, and we have the end. We have an obvious conversation about what happened in high school. Whether was Talia a part of high school, or was she a part of like college? The way they made it sound, because Lynn talked about not knowing Phil that well, or Philip.
Yeah. I thought Talia was part of college, but...
Yeah, I thought she was a later on.
I think she was a later edition. Yeah.
So it was mainly the 4 of them. And Kat was the glue.
Yeah.
She had a psychotic break, whatever that was, that made everybody nervous. They wanted to protect her, but they didn't. It was an odd relationship.
Yeah, and I do think it's interesting that so many horror properties have done this recently. It's not new, but I feel like it's become a very popular thing recently, of the friend group that you think is the friend group, and then you learn more and you're,
Yeah.
there's a lot of bad blood here.
Yes.
And one of the things with Kat that was interesting is that they did have this nervousness around her, this sort of, are you good? Should we have even invited you?
Right.
But she had been with all the men in the group at least a little bit. And so there was kind of that weird jealousy of that. Yeah.
And from what we gathered towards the end, when Lynn was like making his conversation about like, we're the first to die, she was queer. I think she's the bisexual of the group, which is interesting. Like, not necessarily that like, she couldn't be, absolutely, but that she was the center of that type of attention as well. That I'm like, are you trying to add a little more to the trope for us to possibly think that she's going to die? Like, not sure. Not sure where this is going. And again, it may absolutely had to do with the fact that it's a novella. So we get glimpses and not the whole story.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of those, a lot of horror, but a lot of shorter horror specifically, it is meant to make you kind of, it's almost like a mirror.
Yeah.
Where you're reflecting your own experiences and thoughts into the story of what, is she hallucinating or is she not? Like, you are putting your own experiences in that. And I think, I mean, this is probably my own bias, but I was kind of like, does this mean that she was Talia her kind of thing?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a very quick, it was not explored in length, but.
Okay. Yeah. And apparently something that I missed as I'm reading some more reviews of it, they were visiting haunted houses in Kuala Lumpur. Did you hear that? I missed that part.
I didn't know that they were reliving. Well, I'm not sure what they mean by reliving, but I know that they had visited haunted houses. Yes, that they had gone to haunted houses together. This was a thing that they did.
In my head, that's just like small places in the U.S. because I think they're supposed to be based out of the U.S. So that's interesting that they went to Kuala Lumpur.
This was sort of the culmination of just a bunch of visiting of haunted houses. And again, I was surprised. I'd never thought of this. Getting married at a haunted house.
Getting married at a haunted house. But yes, we also see the end of the friendship. So whatever the mess was, we saw the final ending, which feels like any adulthood. And maybe that's the horror story of it all. Like, even without this tragedy, that would have happened. Except for the fact that Talia and FaZe didn't. I don't know if they got married. It doesn't seem like they got married.
It doesn't seem like they did. And that's the thing about horror movies, too, is that, usually it either ends where you're close, you bond over this trauma, or you're done with each other over this trauma and never want to see each other again.
Never talk to each other again as part of the wolf pack. Yes, and coming into horror movie stereotypes, scary movie tropes, yes, we have the funny guy and queer characters possibly dying in the end, but instead we had that flip of only one person dying. It was the one that everyone assumed would survive.
Yes, so Lynn literally says this, by the way. He's like, we should get out of here. We're going to be the first to go. He says this to Kat as things are starting to become clear that something is amiss.
Yeah.
And so I did enjoy that, of the flipping, of the acknowledgement and the flipping of the trope.
She does say at the very beginning that she's like, oh no, we're going to die here. We're definitely coming to die here. This is ridiculous. What have we done? I need to leave. But she keeps going.
Which is also something that happens in a lot of horror stuff, You have that intuition, I probably shouldn't be here, and you keep going.
Interestingly, so again, I've been reading a lot of reviews on this, and that whole like white man's supposed to survive, and he's also a jock, like all of these things, and then he plays the priest, so like he's supposed to be the pure one as well, but he's definitely not the pure one in this group. But like it's seemingly like that's what they're trying to put on. This one Reddit post in review,
I saw that.
Did you see this? It was so angry and called this book a woke, which I was like, what? What? What's woke about this? And then be racist towards white people.
And
I
he
was
was
kinda
like, it's an anti-white man.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what? What is happening? And everyone's response to that was like, I think that's kind of a reach. We understand you might not have liked these type of things, but this is not anything about being woke. It has nothing to like. No one's telling you that you have to be gay to survive. No one's telling you being white means you're definitely going to die. They were annoyed with him in general for trying to save everyone. Like, and they were also annoyed with each other. Like, this was not a thing where they were bullying. Because he said bullying the white dude. And I was like, huh?
No, he wanted to be the hero.
Right.
And, the truth of it is, a lot of times, if we take it out of our movies, you probably would die if you were trying to do that heroic thing.
The one that goes back in, yeah.
Yeah, and already, as we mentioned, this was purposefully flipping a lot of the tropes. Like, usually it is that guy, the white guy who does it, or the white final girl who does it. So... Yeah.
It was quite funny. And it was a long Reddit post. He was very upset. I'm like, I feel like you're just reaching to be upset. Also, this is not a white person writing this, so is that why you're angry?
You're spending too much time on this.
Like, what is happening? This was 2021, y'all, and the review was from 2021. And then the same, like, women being sacrificed for men. And I feel like this, especially like when it comes to the bridal trope, like that is a constant or always waiting. And so therefore, either they've been wronged by men or they're waiting on men.
Yeah. Reading this reminded me of, because Samantha and I are working on a hopefully not huge, too big of an episode on religious horror. And I was debating whether to put a section on there about marriage, because I'd forgotten how big bridal horror is.
It's huge.
It's really huge. And this idea, I mean, that's the whole basis of this horror story of the house they're staying in, is that, it's this woman who's waiting and waiting for a groom who might never come, and sacrificing all these other women every year to do it. And that's what the house is built on, which I find really interesting in terms of a conversation we recently had about a game I played, Silent Hill F, which was based in Japan. And it was about kind of the horror of marriage and how women, at least in the time frame that game was set in, which was in the 1960s, didn't have, like, you kind of had to get married. And it was sort of it was a horrific thing if you did, and if you didn't, at least in the frame of that game, that's how it was put. Right. But I did, this made me stop and pause. I'd forgotten how big of a trope that is, the kind of the bride.
It's big. It is big.
Yeah. And it's quite an image of, the woman waiting for the man to come, and hopefully that would put her at peace.
Yeah. Which he never does.
Usually in a nice, like, finery or something. Yeah. Which is a good juxtaposition against maybe a decaying visage or whatever. But it is a striking image for sure.
It is. The book is really, like, the cover is really creepy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I've seen that cover before. And, like, not that cover, but, like, that kind of art for Japanese legends. And that's definitely what it's based on. So some of the games that Cassandra Khaw has worked on includes Gotham Knights World of Horror. She co-wrote that. Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. Wasteland 3. So she's been doing, and that's just a few. Like, she's done a few of these things. So this genre is up her alley. It's her thing. Would be interested that she's got several other books. So this book in itself actually was nominated for several different awards, including the Bram Stoker Award, the Shirley Jackson Award, the World Fantasy Award. So, like, it definitely got her name out there, even though she had already written several books beforehand that also was nominated. I think she actually won for Best Fiction Collection for Breakable Things that just released a couple of years ago. So we should add some of those things to our later lists.
We should. And I read a lot of reviews that did say this is very reminiscent of a Shirley Jackson novella. So if that's your thing, I highly recommend it. It is very short. It's like a creepy haunted house story. If you're looking for it, this is it.
This is for you.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we love recommendations though, listeners. I love a good scary movie, book, video game, whatever. So please send those our way if you have them. You can email us at hello@stuffwenevertoldyou.com. You can find us on Blue Sky at Mom Stuff Podcast, or on TikTok and Instagram at Stuff I Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have some new merchandise at cottonbureau.com. And we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your favorite shows.